Welcome to Story Tales. Please like this video and subscribe to Story Tales. I hope you enjoy the story. Let's begin.
Mara Whitford pressed save on the quarterly budget report and glanced at the clock on her computer screen. 6:30. The Charleston IT consulting firm had emptied out an hour ago, but she preferred the quiet. Numbers made sense. Code followed logic. People, especially the ones who shared her last name, remained unpredictable. Her phone buzzed against the desk. Cole's name appeared on the screen. "Hey," she answered, already packing her laptop bag. "Mom called." Cole's voice carried that familiar tension it always held when discussing his family. "She wants to do a family vacation thing. Key West." Mara stopped mid-motion, her laptop halfway into the bag. "Family vacation?" "Just for a long weekend. She says she and Brenna can't really afford much this year, but they thought it would be nice to do something together." Mara had heard this song before. Every family gathering, every holiday, every birthday became an exercise in careful navigation around Lorraine Whitford's expectations and Brenna's passive-aggressive comments. But 6 years of marriage had taught her to pick her battles. "When?" she asked. "Next weekend. I know it's short notice, but I'll check my calendar." The drive home through Charleston's evening traffic gave her time to think. The historic district houses glowed in the setting sun, their painted shutters and wraparound porches telling stories of families who'd lived in the same city for generations. Mara had grown up in Ohio, moved to Charleston for college, and stayed for work. She'd built a life here through careful planning and smart decisions. Meeting Cole had been one of those smart decisions. He taught high school history, coached baseball, and treated her like she mattered. His family, however, had made it clear from day one that she was an outsider who'd never truly belong. Lorraine Whitford had spent 35 years as a nurse at the local hospital before retiring. She ruled her small world with the same efficiency she'd once used to manage her patients. Blood meant everything to her. Marriage was just paperwork. Brenna had parlayed her college communications degree into a social media presence that somehow paid the bills. She documented every meal, every outfit, every thought for her 15,000 followers. She had their mother's sharp tongue, but wrapped it in millennial speak and emoji. Cole waited in the kitchen when Mara arrived home, stirring pasta sauce at the stove. Their house was a compromise between her practical needs and his family obligations, close enough to his mother for weekly dinners, far enough away for some privacy. "So what did your mom actually say?" Mara set her keys on the counter. Cole didn't turn around. That it would be nice to spend time together as a family. And Brenna. She thought Key West would be fun. Good for her Instagram. Of course it would be. Mara opened the refrigerator and pulled out a bottle of wine. "Did they mention a budget?" Mom said they're both pretty tight right now. Brenna's car needed major repairs, and you know Mom's been worried about money since she retired. Mara poured wine into 2 glasses and handed one to Cole. 2 years ago, Lorraine had called in tears about losing the family house to foreclosure. The bank had started proceedings, and she had nowhere to turn. Mara had written a check for $60,000 to save the house, taking partial ownership in return. Lorraine had been grateful then, but gratitude had a short memory in the Whitford family. "How much are we talking about?" she asked. Cole finally turned to face her. His brown eyes held that hopeful look she'd learned to recognize. "I was thinking maybe we could help out a little. You know, with the flights and hotel." Mara sipped her wine and calculated. 4 flights to Key West, hotel rooms for 3 nights, meals, activities. Probably $3,000, maybe more. She made good money consulting for local businesses, helping them streamline their systems and solve their technology problems. She could afford it. More importantly, she could use it. "I'll handle the bookings," she said. Cole's face lit up. "Really? Really? But I'll book everything and we'll all stick to the plan. No last-minute changes or additions." "That's perfect. Mom and Brenna will be so grateful. Mara doubted that, but she nodded anyway. Sometimes the best investments took time to pay off. That night, she sat at her home office desk and opened her laptop. Flight comparison websites, hotel reviews, activity bookings. She approached vacation planning the same way she approached system audits, methodically, with attention to detail and backup plans. Key West flights from Charleston ran about $400 per person. She found seats on a Friday morning departure, returning Monday evening. The Casa Marina Resort had availability and good reviews. She booked 2 rooms, one for Cole and herself, one for Lorraine and Brenna. Then came the activities. Sunset dinner cruise, snorkeling tour, fishing charter. All the things that would make Brenna's followers jealous and give Lorraine stories to tell her church friends. By midnight, she'd spent $4,200 on a vacation for people who barely tolerated her presence. Every reservation was in her name. Every payment came from her credit card. Her account, her trip, her rules. She texted Cole, all booked. Confirmation numbers in your email. His response came immediately. You're amazing. Thank you. Mara closed the laptop and went to bed, already planning what she'd pack. The following Tuesday, Lorraine called while Mara was debugging code for a client's inventory system. Mara, honey, I just wanted to thank you again for arranging everything. Brenna and I are so excited. Mara saved her work and put the phone on speaker. Lorraine's voice always carried a syrupy sweetness when she needed something, like artificial vanilla extract. You're welcome, Lorraine. I sent all the confirmation numbers to Cole. Oh, I know. He forwarded everything. The hotel looks lovely, right on the beach. It's supposed to be nice. Good reviews. And that dinner cruise. Brenna's already planning her outfits for photos. Of course she was. Mara had specifically chosen the Sunset Cruise because the reviews mentioned it was Instagram perfect. She'd learned to speak Brenna's language when necessary. The weather forecast looks good too, Mara said, pulling up the Key West Outlook on her screen. Perfect. You know, Mara, this is exactly what our family needs. Some quality time together, away from all the distractions. Our family. The words felt strange coming from Lorraine, who usually made subtle distinctions between blood relatives and in-laws. But Mara filed it away and focused on the spreadsheet in front of her. I'm looking forward to it, she said, which wasn't entirely a lie. She was looking forward to something. Thursday evening, Brenna called during dinner. Mara. Her voice bubbled with enthusiasm. I've been researching Key West restaurants. There's this amazing place called Blue Heaven that's supposed to be incredible for brunch. Can we add it to the itinerary? Cole looked up from his chicken and rice, eyebrows raised. I'll look into it, Mara said. But we already have the dinner cruise Saturday night and snorkeling Sunday morning. Oh, we can squeeze it in. Sunday brunch would be perfect. The lighting there is supposed to be amazing for photos. Mara had researched Blue Heaven too. Expensive, usually booked weeks in advance, and required a reservation for parties over 2. I'll see what I can do. Thanks. You're the best. Cole is so lucky to have someone who can just make things happen. After Brenna hung up, Cole reached across the table and squeezed Mara's hand. You don't have to add anything else, he said. What you've already planned is perfect. I know. Mara finished her wine. But it's important to your family. Friday morning came faster than expected. Mara packed efficiently vacation clothes, toiletries, phone charger, portable battery pack. She'd learned to travel prepared for any contingency. Cole threw random items into his duffel bag while she organized her suitcase into neat compartments. You sure you have everything? She asked, watching him stuff wrinkled t-shirts around his sneakers. I'm good. Just a long weekend at the beach. Mara's phone rang. Cole's contact photo appeared on the screen, which made no sense since he stood right next to her. That's weird, she said, showing him the display. Cole patted his pockets. My phone's right here. She answered anyway. "Hello, Mara." Lorraine's voice came through the speaker, tight and formal. Gone was Tuesday's syrupy sweetness. "We need to talk." "Okay, what about the trip?" "There's been a change of plans." Mara felt something cold settle in her stomach. "What kind of change?" "We've decided it should be family only this time." The words hung in the air like smoke. Mara stared at Cole, who had gone very still. "I am family, Lorraine." "Blood family, Mara. This is something Brenna and I need to do with Cole. Mother, son, daughter bonding time." In the background, Mara heard Brenna's voice, muffled but clear enough. "We'll finally have a vacation without her." The line went quiet except for the sound of Mara's heartbeat in her ears. "I paid for everything," she said quietly. "We'll pay you back. Eventually. When we can." Mara looked at Cole, who was staring at the floor like it held the secrets of the universe. "The reservations are all in my name. Cole can handle that at the hotel. He's very charming." The call ended with a click that sounded like a door slamming. Mara lowered the phone and looked at her husband. "Did you know about this?" Cole's face had gone pale. "Mara, did you know? Mom mentioned it might be better if—" "If what?" "If I stayed home while you three went on the vacation I planned and paid for." "It's not like that." "Then what is it like, Cole?" He finally met her eyes. "They just want some time with me, without feeling like they have to watch what they say or worry about offending you." "Offending me? You know how Mom gets. And Brenna." "Brenna what?" "She thinks you judge her, the way you look at her sometimes." Mara set her phone on the dresser with careful precision. "How do I look at her?" "Like she's not smart enough. Like her job isn't real. Her job is taking pictures of her breakfast. It pays her rent. With money from sponsors who want to sell diet pills to teenage girls." Cole ran a hand through his hair. "See? That's what I mean." Mara felt something shift inside her chest, like tectonic plates realigning. "So you all discussed this, behind my back, about a trip I'm paying for. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. How was it supposed to happen?" Cole opened his mouth, then closed it. He had no answer because there was no good answer. Mara's phone buzzed with a text from Lorraine. "Flight leaves in 2 hours. Cole needs to leave now to make it." She showed Cole the message. He read it and grabbed his duffel bag. "I'll explain everything when I get back," he said. "No need, Mara. Have a nice time with your family." Cole hesitated at the bedroom door. "I love you." Mara turned back to her suitcase and continued folding clothes she wouldn't be wearing. "Safe travels." She heard the front door close 10 minutes later. Through the bedroom window, she watched Cole's Honda back out of the driveway and disappear down the street. Only then did she allow herself to feel the full weight of what had just happened. But instead of tears or anger, she felt something unexpected. Clarity. Mara sat at her kitchen table with her laptop open and her phone beside it. Outside, Charleston's morning traffic moved at its usual unhurried pace. Inside, she was calculating the exact cost of betrayal. Her credit card statement showed the damage clearly. Flights, $1,647. Hotel, $1,890. Dinner cruise, $320. Snorkeling tour, $280. Fishing charter, $340. Miscellaneous reservations, $127. Total, $4,604,404 for the privilege of being excluded from her own vacation by people who thought she wasn't family. She opened her contacts and scrolled to Shay Park's number. If anyone would understand the legal and practical implications of this situation, it would be Shay they'd met during their senior year at College of Charleston, in a business law class that Mara had taken as an elective and Shay had aced without trying. Shay had gone on to law school at Duke, then returned to Charleston to join a firm specializing in family and business law. She was the kind of friend who would drive to your house at midnight to help you move a body, then bill you for the mileage. Please tell me you're calling because you need legal advice about something interesting, Shay answered on the second ring. Define interesting. More interesting than the prenup I just finished reviewing for a tech bro who thinks his crypto investments make him Warren Buffett. Mara outlined the situation while Shay listened without interruption. When she finished, silence stretched across the line. They excluded you from a trip you paid for, Shay said finally. Correct. And your husband went along with it. Also correct. Are all the reservations in your name? Every single one. Payment from your account. My credit card, my bank account, my frequent flyer miles for the upgrades. Shay made a humming sound that Mara recognized from their college days. It meant Shay was thinking like a lawyer. Legally speaking, they have no claim to any of those reservations. You booked them, you paid for them. They're yours to modify or cancel as you see fit. That's what I thought. Ethically speaking, your in-laws are pieces of work, and your husband is either a coward or a conspirator. Also what I thought. So the question becomes, what do you want to do about it? Mara looked out the kitchen window at her neighbor's garden. Mrs. Chen spent hours every week pulling weeds, pruning roses, and planting new flowers. The garden was beautiful because she never let anything unwanted take root. I want them to understand that actions have consequences, Mara said. I like where this is going. What kind of consequences? The kind that are completely legal but extremely inconvenient. My favorite kind. What do you need from me? Advice. And maybe some documentation if things get complicated. Consider it done. What's your first move? Mara was already pulling up her booking confirmations. I'm going to start canceling some activities. All of them. Not immediately. I want them to get comfortable first. After hanging up with Shay, Mara spent an hour on the phone with various key West businesses. The snorkeling company had a 48-hour cancellation policy, but waived it when she explained she'd been hospitalized. Complete lie, but delivered with such calm certainty that they processed the refund immediately. The fishing charter took longer. The owner, a gruff man named Captain Jake, initially refused to refund the deposit. Lady, I turned down 3 other bookings for your group. It's too late to rebook. I understand your position, Mara said, but I'm sure you'd rather deal with a cancellation than have 4 very unhappy customers show up who didn't actually want to be there. Something in her tone must have convinced him. The refund appeared in her account within an hour. The dinner cruise proved trickier. The company required a 24-hour notice for any changes, and the Whitfords were probably already in the air. Mara called anyway. Sunset Sales, this is Jennifer. Hi, Jennifer. I need to modify a reservation for tomorrow night. Whitford party of 4. Let me pull that up. Okay, I see it. What kind of modification? I need to change it to a party of 3. No problem. Which guest won't be attending? Mara Whitford. I'm the one who made the reservation. Jennifer paused. You're canceling yourself from your own booking? That's correct. Ma'am, if you're not attending and it's your reservation, wouldn't it be easier to just cancel the whole thing? Mara smiled at her reflection in the kitchen window. No, I think 3 people can still enjoy themselves, assuming they can figure out how to pay for it. The modification went through. Mara's name came off the reservation, but the booking remained active. When the Whitfords showed up tomorrow night, they'd find themselves responsible for a $320 bill they couldn't afford. Next, she called the airline. This required more creativity. I need to change some return flights, she told the customer service representative. Confirmation number. Mara read off the 6-digit code she'd memorized. I see 4 passengers returning Monday night. What changes do you need? I need to move 3 of the passengers to Sunday's earlier flight. That's a significant change. There will be fees. That's fine. And the 4th passenger? She'll keep the original Monday return. The change cost $200, but it was worth it. Cole, Lorraine, and Brenna would find themselves with boarding passes for a flight 24 hours earlier than planned. They'd either have to pay change fees to fix it or cut their vacation short. Mara kept the Monday night flight for herself, even though she wouldn't be using it. Let them figure out who was supposed to be on which plane, WY noon. She'd systematically dismantled half their vacation plans. The refunds were already appearing in her account. But she was just getting started. She opened a new browser tab and searched for property records in Charleston County. The Whitford family home on Maple Street appeared in the database, showing 2 owners, Lorraine Whitford and Mara Whitford. 2 years ago, when Lorraine had called sobbing about foreclosure, Mara had driven straight to the bank. The mortgage was underwater, the payments were 3 months behind, and Lorraine's retirement income couldn't cover the gap. The house had been in Cole's family for 40 years. Mara had written a check for $60,000, enough to bring the mortgage current and pay it down to a manageable level. In return, she'd asked for one simple thing: to be added to the deed as a co-owner. Just in case, Lorraine had agreed immediately. Of course, honey. It's only fair. The paperwork had been finalized through Shay's firm. Mara owned 40% of the house with full co-owner rights. She'd never mentioned it to Cole, and apparently Lorraine had never thought to tell him either. Now, staring at the property record on her laptop screen, Mara realized she'd been planning for this moment longer than she'd understood. She called Shay back. That was quick, Shay answered. Activities canceled. Most of them. Now I need to discuss property law. I'm listening. If someone co-owns a house, what are their rights regarding access and modifications? In South Carolina, co-owners have equal rights to use and modify the property within reason. Why? Define within reason. Well, you can't tear down the house without the other owner's consent. But you could certainly change the locks, rearrange furniture, or store your belongings there, even if the other owner objects. It's your property, too. Mara looked out at Mrs. Chen's garden again. Sometimes you had to pull weeds by the roots. I need you to document something for me, she said. What kind of documentation? The kind that proves I had every legal right to do what I'm about to do. Saturday morning in Charleston dawned clear and warm. Perfect beach weather. Mara sat on her back porch with coffee and her laptop, checking the weather in Key West. 82 degrees, light breeze, ideal conditions for a vacation she wasn't taking. Her phone showed 3 missed calls from Cole and 2 text messages. Landed safely. Hotel is beautiful. Mom wants me to thank you again for making this possible. Mara deleted both messages without responding at 8:09 a.m. She called Advanced Lock and Security. I need to change all the locks on a house I own, she told the receptionist. What's the address? Mara gave them Lorraine's address on Maple Street. And you're the homeowner. Co-owner. I can provide documentation. We can have someone out there this afternoon. Is this an emergency? Mara looked at her calendar. The Whitfords wouldn't return until Monday night, assuming they figured out their flight situation. No emergency. This afternoon works perfectly. Next, she called Carolina Moving and Storage. I need to move some items from a house into storage, she explained to the dispatcher. Local move. Yes, from a residence to a climate-controlled unit. How much stuff are we talking about? Mara had been in Lorraine's house dozens of times. She knew exactly what mattered most to the family. Electronics, some furniture, maybe a truck's worth. We can do that today if you're flexible on timing. Today is perfect. The locksmith arrived at noon. Danny, was a thin man in his 50s who'd been changing locks in Charleston for 20 years. "You sure you want to change all of them?" he asked, examining the front door. "These are good locks, relatively new." "I want different keys," Mara said. "For security reasons." "Fair enough. Your house, your choice." Mara stood in Lorraine's living room while Danny worked, remembering the first time Cole had brought her here. She'd been nervous, trying to make a good impression. Lorraine had served tea in china cups and asked polite questions about Mara's family, her job, her intentions with her SON. IT had felt like an addition she was destined to fail. The house held 40 years of Whitford family memories. Cole's high school graduation photo on the mantel, Brenna's cheerleading trophies on a bookshelf, Lorraine's nursing school diploma in the hallway, but it also held Mara's money. $60,000 of her money, invested in walls and windows and a roof that kept rain out. The movers arrived while Danny was installing the back door lock. 3 men with a truck and an attitude that suggested they'd seen everything. "What are we moving?" the team leader asked. Mara had prepared a list. The 75-inch TV from the living room, the sound system, the antique dining room set, the china cabinet and all its contents, the jewelry box from the master bedroom, all the framed photos from the living room and hallway. "That's a lot of family stuff," one of the movers observed. "I'm family," Mara said simply. They worked efficiently, wrapping furniture in blankets and boxing up decades of Whitford memories. Mara supervised, checking items off her list and taking photos of everything for her records. The TV required 3 men to move safely. Lorraine had bought it last year with her Christmas money, proudly telling everyone it was the biggest television she'd ever owned. Brenna used it to stream her social media content, and Cole watched baseball games on Sunday afternoons. The dining room set had belonged to Cole's grandmother. Solid cherry wood, purchased in 1963, maintained with careful polishing for 60 years. Lorraine served holiday meals on that table, complete with her grandmother's china and crystal glasses. The jewelry box contained Lorraine's most treasured possessions: her mother's wedding ring, pearl earrings from her nursing school graduation, a sapphire bracelet from her late husband. Mara had seen her wear these pieces to church and special occasions. All of it went into the moving truck, carefully catalogued and photographed. "Where are we taking this stuff?" the team leader asked. "Storage unit on Rivers Avenue. I'll follow you there." By 4 p.m., everything was locked away in a climate-controlled unit under Mara's name. The storage facility required a key card for access and had security cameras monitoring every entrance. Danny finished the locks at 5:30. He handed Mara a set of new keys and his invoice. "All done. Nobody's getting in there without your permission." Mara walked through the empty house, checking his work. Every door had new locks. Every window had been inspected and secured. The house felt different now, still familiar, but somehow altered. She stood in the living room, looking at the blank wall where the TV had hung. Faint rectangles on the wallpaper showed where family photos had been displayed. The dining room looked cavernous without its furniture. Her phone buzzed with a text from Cole, having dinner at that place Brenna found. "Wish you were here." Mara almost laughed. She was exactly where she needed to be. Sunday evening, Mara sat in her home office organizing receipts. Locksmith bill, moving company invoice, storage unit rental agreement. Everything properly documented, every expense tracked. Her laptop chimed with a notification from Instagram. She rarely used social media, but she'd made an exception to follow Brenna's account. Research purposes, Brenna had posted a series of photos from Key West, sunset shots from the hotel balcony, tropical drinks by the pool, a selfie with Cole and Lorraine at a restaurant. The captions were filled with gratitude and family hashtags. "Best vacation ever with my favorite people." #family, #Key West, #blessed, #grateful. Mara scrolled through the comments from Brenna's followers. Heart emojis, jealous responses, questions about the hotel and restaurants. No mention of the canceled activities or modified reservations. Apparently, they were making the best of their reduced itinerary. Then she noticed something interesting. Brenna had gone live on Instagram around 9 p.m. Key West time. The notification was still active. Mara clicked on the live stream and found herself watching Brenna in a tiki bar, drink in hand, talking to her phone camera with the easy confidence of someone who'd had several cocktails. "So we're having the best time here," Brenna was saying, gesturing with her mojito. "Just the three of us, you know. Sometimes you need that family bonding without any outside drama." Comments scrolled past faster than Mara could read them, but she caught a few. "Where's your sister-in-law? Thought you said for people were going. Did someone not make the trip?" Brenna laughed, a slightly slurred sound. "Oh, Cole's wife didn't come. We kind of had to leave her behind. She's just, you know how it is with in-laws. Sometimes they don't really fit." More comments, more questions. Brenna was enjoying the attention, the drama, the chance to be the center of her followers' curiosity. "Actually," Brenna continued, lowering her voice conspiratorially, "Cole said we had to ditch her. He was like, she's just the bank account anyway. So we got our family time without having to pretend she belongs." The words hit Mara like cold water. She replayed that part of the video, making sure she'd heard correctly. "Cole said we had to ditch her. He was like, she's just the bank account anyway." There it was. Not just acquiescence to his family's plan, but active participation. Cole hadn't been pressured into excluding her, he'd advocated for it. She wasn't his wife being treated unfairly by his family. She was an ATM they'd all decided they didn't want to look at while they spent her money. Mara closed the laptop and sat in the darkness of her office. She'd been prepared for Lorraine's cruelty and Brenna's selfishness. She'd planned for their rejection and ingratitude. But she hadn't prepared for Cole's betrayal to cut this deep point 6 years of marriage. 6 years of being the responsible one, the planner, the problem solver. 6 years of tolerating his family's barely concealed disdain because she loved him and thought he loved her back. She's just the bank account anyway. That's all she'd ever been to any of them, a source of funding for their dreams and comfort. Tolerated as long as she stayed quiet and paid the bills. Mara picked up her phone and called Shay. "Please tell me you're calling with an update on Operation Family Vacation," Shay answered. "I need to file for divorce." Silence on the other end of the line. Then what happened? Mara explained about the live stream, playing the relevant portion for Shay to hear. "That son of a bitch," Shay said quietly. "I'm sorry, Mara. I know you were hoping he'd been pressured into this." "I was. I thought maybe he was just weak, not malicious." "What do you want to do?" "I want papers drawn up. Tonight, if possible. It's Sunday night. It's an emergency." "Okay, I can have something basic ready by morning. Irreconcilable differences, division of assets, the standard package. Do you want to ask for anything specific?" Mara thought about the house she'd bought, the cars she'd helped finance, the life she'd built while assuming she was part of a partnership. "I want half of everything I helped pay for, and I want him out of my house." "Your house?" "The deed is in my name. He moved in after we got married, but it was never legally his." "Even better. I'll have papers ready first thing in the morning." After hanging up with Shay, Mara made herself a simple dinner and tried to watch television. But every channel seemed to be showing family comedies or romantic movies. She settled on a documentary about marine biology and let the narrator's calm voice wash over her while she planned her next moves. The Whitfords would return tomorrow evening to a house they couldn't enter, filled with items they couldn't find. They'd be confused, then angry, then desperate. They'd probably call her, demanding explanations and threatening consequences. She was looking forward to those conversations. Monday morning brought rain to Charleston, the kind of steady spring shower that made everything green and washed the pollen from parked cars. Mara dressed carefully for work, navy blazer, gray slacks, low heels. Professional armor for a day that would require precision. Shay's office occupied the third floor of a renovated historic building downtown. The law firm of Davidson, Park and Associates specialized in family law and business disputes. Exactly the combination Mara needed. "I've never drawn up divorce papers for someone who looked this calm," Shay said, handing over a manila envelope. "Are you sure you're okay?" "I'm fine." Most people are crying or raging or throwing things at this point. Mara opened the envelope and scanned the documents. Petition for divorce based on irreconcilable differences. Request for division of marital assets. Demand for exclusive possession of the marital home. Everything she'd requested, written in careful legal language. "This looks perfect. You'll need to serve him properly. I can arrange that, or you can handle it yourself if you want the satisfaction." "I'll handle it myself. Just make sure you document everything. Date, time, witnesses if possible." Mara tucked the papers into her briefcase. "What about the house situation? Are we on solid legal ground?" "Absolutely. You co-own the property. You had legitimate reasons to secure it, and you've documented everything properly. Even if Lorraine tries to make trouble, she can't claim you acted illegally." "Good." Shay leaned back in her chair. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure. Why aren't you angrier? Most people in your situation would be furious." Mara considered the question while rain drummed against the office windows. "Anger is just hurt with nowhere to go. I'd rather focus on solutions." "And your solution is complete destruction of their vacation and your marriage." "My solution is making sure they understand that treating people badly has consequences. The marriage was apparently over already. I just didn't know it yet." Work provided a welcome distraction. Mara spent the morning reviewing server configurations for a medical practice and the afternoon debugging inventory software for a local retailer. Numbers and code followed logical rules. Fix the problem, test the solution, document the process. At 3 p.m., her phone rang. Cole's number appeared on the screen. She let it go to voicemail. 3:30, Lorraine called. Also voicemail. 4 p.m., Brenna tried. Mara ignored that one too. Finally, at 4:15, her voicemail notification chimed. She played Cole's message first. "Mara, we're at the airport and there's some confusion with our flights. The airline says 3 of us are booked on a flight that left this morning, but you're on tonight's flight. I don't understand what happened. Can you call me back? We need to figure this out." Lorraine's message was shorter and sharper. "Mara, something is wrong with our reservations. Call me immediately." Brenna's message was the longest. "Oh my God, Mara, everything is so messed up. We missed our flight somehow, and now they want to charge us like $500 each to get on the next one. Plus, we were supposed to go snorkeling yesterday, but they said our reservation was canceled. And the dinner cruise, people said only 3 of us were booked. I don't know what's happening, but we need you to fix this." Mara deleted all 3 messages and went back to work at 6 p.m. Her phone started ringing continuously. "Cole, Lorraine, Brenna." Cole again. She turned off the ringer and finished her project. By the time she got home, she had 17 missed calls and 12 voicemail messages. She listened to them while heating up leftover pasta, treating them like background entertainment. The messages followed a predictable progression. Confusion. "We don't understand what happened." Frustration. "This is completely unacceptable." Accusation. "You did this on purpose." And finally, desperation. "Please just call us back." The last message was from Cole, recorded at 7:23 p.m. "Mara, I know you're angry and I understand why. But we're stuck at the airport with no money and no way to get home. Mom used her credit card for the emergency flight change, but it's maxed out now. Brenna's crying and people are staring. Please, I'm begging you, just answer your phone. We can talk about everything else later, but right now we need help." Mara saved that message. She might want to listen to it again sometime at 8 p.m. While she was loading the dishwasher, headlights swept across her kitchen window. She looked out to see Cole's Honda pulling into the driveway. They'd made it home somehow. Mara dried her hands and checked her appearance in the hallway mirror. She looked composed, professional, completely in control. Perfect. The front door opened without a key being used, which meant Cole still had his copy. That would need to be addressed. Mara. Cole's voice carried exhaustion and something that might have been fear. She met him in the living room. He looked like he'd been traveling for days instead of hours. His hair was messy, his shirt wrinkled, and his eyes held the shell-shocked expression of someone who'd just discovered the world didn't work the way he'd thought. "We need to talk," he said. "Do we?" "You know we do." Mara sat in her favorite chair, the leather recliner she'd bought when they first moved in together. Cole remained standing, probably because he wasn't sure if he was welcome to sit down. "How was your family vacation?" she asked. "You know how it was. You sabotaged the whole thing. I modified some reservations I'd made with my money. Is that sabotage? You canceled our activities without telling us. I canceled my activities. Activities I'd paid for. Activities I wasn't going to attend because your family decided I wasn't welcome." Cole rubbed his face with both hands. "Okay, that was wrong. The way Mom handled it was wrong. But did you have to humiliate us at the airport?" "How did I humiliate you?" "By changing our flights. We looked like idiots trying to figure out why our boarding passes didn't work." "That does sound embarrassing. And expensive. Do you know how much it cost to fix the flights?" $600 we don't have." Mara almost smiled. "Where did you get $600 if you don't have it?" "Mom put it on her credit card. She'll be paying it off for months." "That's unfortunate." Cole stared at her. "That's all you have to say? That's unfortunate." "What would you like me to say?" "That you're sorry. That you'll help us figure out how to pay for the extra expenses. That you understand we were just trying to have some family time. Without me. Yes, without you, but using money I'd given you. We were going to pay you back." "When?" Cole's mouth opened and closed without sound. They both knew Lorraine and Brenna had no intention of paying her back, and no ability to do so even if they wanted to. "There's something else we need to discuss," Mara said. She retrieved the manila envelope from her briefcase and handed it to Cole. He opened it slowly, his face growing paler as he read. "Divorce papers." "That's correct." "Mara, you can't be serious." "I'm very serious." "Because of one vacation? Because of one mistake?" Mara stood up and walked to the window. Cole's car sat in the driveway next to hers, but somehow they felt like they belonged to people who lived in different worlds. "It's not about the vacation, Cole. It's about what the vacation revealed, which is," she turned to face him, "that you think of me as a bank account, that you're willing to exclude me and mock me as long as I keep paying for things, that you care more about your family's comfort than your wife's dignity. That's not true." "Really?" "Because I heard what you said in Key West." Cole's face went white. "What do you mean?" "Brenna's live stream. She quoted you directly. She's just the bank account anyway." The silence stretched between them like a chasm. Cole opened his mouth, then closed it, then opened it again. "I didn't mean it like that." "How did you mean it?" "I was frustrated and they were pressuring me, and I said something stupid." "You said something true." "No, I didn't. You're my wife. I love you." "You have a funny way of showing it." Cole took a step toward her. "Mara, please. We can fix this. I'll talk to Mom and Brenna. I'll make them apologize. We can go to counseling if you want." "I don't want counseling. I want a divorce." "But why? We can work through this." Mara picked up her keys from the coffee table. "There's one more thing you should know. Your mother's house, the one I saved from foreclosure 2 years ago, I co-own it." What does that mean? It means I had the locks changed today. It means I moved some items into storage for safekeeping. It means your family is about to discover that their decisions have consequences. Cole stared at her like she'd started speaking a foreign language. You can't do that. I already did it. But where will Mom live? I don't know. Maybe she should have thought about that before she decided I wasn't family. Mara headed toward the front door. Cole followed her. Where are you going? To a hotel. You can stay here tonight, but I want you out by tomorrow evening. Mara, wait. She paused with her hand on the doorknob. What? I'm sorry. I'm really, truly sorry. I know I messed up and I know I hurt you. But please don't destroy everything over one stupid mistake. Mara looked at her husband, this man she'd loved and trusted and built a life with, and felt nothing but distant pity. It wasn't one mistake, Cole. It was 6 years of mistakes. 6 years of choosing them over me, of treating me like an outsider, of taking my support for granted while never offering any in return. The vacation was just the moment I finally saw it clearly. So that's it. We're over. We were over the moment you got on that plane without me. I just took a while to catch up. Mara left Cole standing in the doorway and drove through Charleston's quiet streets to a downtown hotel. She checked in under her maiden name and spent the evening ordering room service and planning her next moves. Tomorrow, the real fun would begin. Tuesday morning arrived with a kind of crystalline clarity that made Charleston look like a postcard. Mara checked out of the hotel early and drove to her favorite coffee shop, a small place near the College of Charleston campus where the baristas knew her order and the Wi-Fi was reliable. She'd slept better than she had in months. Her phone showed 23 missed calls and 47 text messages accumulated overnight. She scrolled through them while sipping her latte, categorizing them by sender and urgency. Cole's messages ranged from apologetic, I know I hurt you, but please let's talk, to angry, you can't just kick me out of my own house, to desperate, Mom is crying and I don't know what to do. Lorraine's texts were more direct. Call me immediately. This is unacceptable. I'm calling the police. You have no right to lock us out of our own home. Brenna had sent a series increasingly frantic messages. What did you do to Grandma's house? We can't get in and all our stuff is gone. This is literally insane. You're going to pay for this. Mara deleted them all and ordered a second latte, at 9 a.m. She called her office to request a personal day. At 9:15, she called the storage facility to confirm security protocols. At 9:30, she drove to Maple Street. 3 cars sat in Lorraine's driveway. Cole's Honda, Lorraine's ancient Buick, and Brenna's leased BMW. A small crowd had gathered on the front porch, and Mara could hear raised voices even from across the street. She parked at the curb and walked up the driveway with the confidence of someone who belonged there. Because she did belong there. She owned 40% of this property. Mara. Lorraine spotted her first. Thank God. Something terrible has happened. Someone broke into my house and stole everything. Mara looked at the gathering on the porch. Lorraine wore yesterday's clothes and had obviously been crying. Brenna clutched her phone like a lifeline, probably documenting the drama for her followers. Cole stood slightly apart from them, looking like he wanted to disappear. Nobody broke in, Mara said calmly. I moved some items to storage for safekeeping. You what? Lorraine's voice cracked. I exercise my rights as a co-owner of this property. The items are perfectly safe. Co-owner? Brenna looked confused. What does that mean? Lorraine's face had gone pale. Mara, you don't understand. That's all my furniture. My TV. My mother's china. I understand perfectly. The items are in climate-controlled storage. They won't be damaged. But I need my things. I live here. Then you should have considered that before you decided I wasn't family. Cole stepped forward. Mara, this has gone too far. Mom didn't mean. Stop. Mara's voice cut through his words like a blade. Don't tell me what your mother meant. I heard exactly what she meant. A police car turned onto Maple Street, moving slowly. Brenna straightened up, suddenly animated. I called them, she announced. This is theft. You can't just take people's stuff. The patrol car parked behind Mara's SUV. Officer Jenkins emerged, a middle-aged man with kind eyes and the patient demeanor of someone who dealt with family disputes before. Morning, folks. Someone called about a break-in. Yes. Lorraine rushed toward him. This woman stole everything from my house. All my furniture, my television, my family heirlooms. Officer Jenkins looked at Mara. Ma'am, do you live here? I co-own this property, Mara replied, pulling out her phone. I have the property records right here. She showed him the county database page displaying both her name and Lorraine's as owners. I see. And you removed items from the house. I moved some belongings to storage. Everything is documented and safely secured. She can't do that. Brenna interjected. It's not her stuff. Officer Jenkins held up a hand. Ma'am, if she's a legal co-owner of the property, she has the right to secure items she believes need protection. Protection from what? Lorraine demanded. Mara met her eyes steadily. From people who think they can use me for my money and then discard me when it's convenient. The officer looked between them, clearly recognizing a family dispute rather than a criminal matter. This sounds like something you folks need to work out among yourselves, or possibly with a lawyer. As long as the property wasn't damaged and everything was removed legally, there's no crime here. But my things, Lorraine started, are safe in storage, Mara interrupted, and will remain there until we reach an understanding about respect and consequences. Officer Jenkins closed his notepad. I'd recommend you all sit down and have an honest conversation about what's really going on here. These kinds of family situations rarely get better until people start communicating. After he left, the four of them stood in awkward silence on the porch. A few neighbors had emerged to watch the drama, probably wondering why the Whitfords were locked out of their own house. Can we go inside and talk about this? Cole asked quietly. Mara pulled the new keys from her purse and unlocked the front door. They filed into the empty living room, where the absence of furniture made everything echo strangely. Lorraine looked around at the blank walls and empty spaces, her face crumpling. 40 years of memories. Gone. Not gone. Stored. Where? Somewhere safe. Brenna flopped down on the floor, since there were no chairs. This is insane. You can't hold our stuff hostage because your feelings got hurt. My feelings didn't get hurt, Mara said. My eyes got opened. To what? To the fact that you've all been using me. My money, my planning, my problem-solving skills, my generosity. But the moment it became inconvenient to include me, you cast me aside like I never mattered. Cole leaned against the wall. That's not fair. Isn't it? When's the last time any of you did something for me that didn't benefit you? Silence. When's the last time you invited me somewhere because you wanted my company, not my wallet? More silence. When's the last time you defended me when someone in this family said something cruel about me? Cole looked at the floor. Lorraine spoke up, her voice smaller than usual. We're grateful for everything you've done. Grateful enough to include me in the vacation I paid for. That was different. How? Sometimes family needs time alone. I am family. Or I was, until you decided otherwise. Brenna looked up from her phone, where she'd been typing furiously. My followers are asking what's happening. This is affecting my brand. Mara stared at her. Your brand. I can't have drama like this associated with my image. It's not good for sponsorships. Then maybe you should have thought about that before you excluded me from a vacation and mocked me on your live stream. I was just being honest with my audience. You were being cruel to someone who'd been nothing but generous to you. Brenna shrugged. It's not my fault you can't take a joke. Mara felt something cold and final settle in her chest. She'd been hoping for remorse, for understanding, for some recognition that they'd treated her badly. Instead, she was getting defensiveness and deflection. Cole, she said quietly, I'd like to speak with you privately. They stepped onto the back porch, where Lorraine's garden was starting to bloom. Mara had helped plant some of those flowers, back when she'd thought she was investing in a shared future. This is your chance, Mara said. Your one chance to show me that you understand what you did wrong and that you're willing to make it right. Cole ran his hands through his hair. I know I messed up. I should have stood up to them. Should have. Past tense. I'm standing up to them now. Are you? Because from where I'm sitting, you're still trying to manage the situation instead of taking responsibility for it. What do you want me to do? I want you to admit that you participated in excluding me. I want you to admit that you called me just the bank account. I want you to admit that you've spent 6 years putting your family's feelings ahead of your wife's. Cole was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was barely audible. You're right. About which part? All of it. I did those things. I was wrong. And I'm sorry. Mara waited, but he didn't continue. That's it, she asked. What else do you want me to say? I want you to tell me what you're going to do differently. I want you to tell me how you're going to rebuild the trust you've broken. I want you to show me that you value our marriage more than your family's comfort. Cole looked out at the garden, where daffodils were pushing through the soil. I don't know how to fix this. That's the problem, isn't it? You don't know because you've never had to try. I've always been the one who accommodated, who compromised, who made things work. You've never had to choose between me and them because I never forced you to choose. So you're forcing me now. No, I'm removing myself from the equation entirely. They went back inside, where Lorraine and Brenna were whispering together on the floor. We need to figure out a solution, Lorraine said when she saw them. I have nowhere to stay. All my clothes, my medications, my important papers, everything is in that storage unit. You can stay with Brenna, Mara suggested. My apartment is tiny, Brenna protested, and I have brand photo shoots scheduled. I can't have family drama affecting my workspace. Then you'll figure something else out. This is ridiculous, Lorraine snapped, some of her usual authority returning. You can't just evict me from my own home over a vacation. I'm not evicting you over a vacation. I'm protecting my investment in a property where I'm clearly not welcome. What do you want? Cole asked tiredly. What will it take for you to give Mom her stuff back and let her move back in? Mara considered the question. A week ago, she might have asked for apologies, promises, family therapy, but she'd moved beyond that now. I want a formal acknowledgement that you all treated me poorly. I want a public apology from Brenna to her followers, explaining what really happened and taking responsibility for her part in it. And I want financial compensation for the vacation expenses that were wasted due to your decision to exclude me. How much? Lorraine asked suspiciously. $4,600. We don't have that kind of money. Then you'll need to find it, or make payment arrangements. That's extortion, Brenna accused. That's business. You wasted my money and my time. There are consequences for that. Cole shook his head. Mara, please. Be reasonable. I am being reasonable. I'm offering you a clear path to resolution. Acknowledge what you did wrong. Apologize publicly and compensate me for my losses. Do those 3 things, and I'll return your belongings and give you back full access to this house. And then what? Lorraine asked. We all pretend this never happened and go back to family dinners. No, Mara said quietly. Then I divorce your son and move on with my life. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. You'd really end your marriage over this? Cole asked. I'm not ending my marriage over this. You ended it when you chose to exclude and mock me. I'm just making it official. 3 hours later, Mara sat across from Shay at a downtown restaurant, picking at a salad while she recounted the morning's events. They actually thought you'd just give everything back if they asked nicely. Shay laughed. These people really don't know you at all. 6 years of marriage, and Cole still thinks I'm going to fold if he looks sad enough. Are you going to fold? No. Any part of you hoping he'll meet your conditions? Mara considered the question while watching tourists stroll past the restaurant's windows. Charleston's historic district attracted thousands of visitors every year, people drawn to the city's carefully preserved beauty and old-world charm. But preservation required constant vigilance against decay and compromise. I hope he surprises me, she said finally, but I'm not counting on it. Her phone buzzed with a text from Cole. Can we talk tonight? Somewhere private. She showed the message to Shay, who raised an eyebrows. He's not giving up. He's not accepting reality. There's a difference. What are you going to tell him? The truth, that some things can't be fixed once they're broken. That evening, Mara agreed to meet Cole at Waterfront Park, a quiet spot overlooking Charleston Harbor where they'd had their first official date 7 years ago. The symbolism wasn't lost on either of them. Cole was already waiting when she arrived, sitting on their old bench with his hands in his pockets. The setting sun painted the water gold and orange, and a cruise ship moved slowly toward the horizon. Thank you for coming, he said as she sat down beside him, careful to maintain distance between them. What did you want to talk about? Us. Our marriage. Whether there's any way to save it. Mara watched a pelican dive for fish near the dock. Have you thought about my conditions? The apology and the money? Yes. And Brenna says she'll apologize to her followers if that's what it takes. She's worried about losing sponsors over the drama. What about your mother? Cole was quiet for a moment. She's struggling with the idea of admitting she was wrong. You know how proud she is. Pride is expensive. But she'll do it if it means getting her house back. And the money. That's harder. Neither of them has $4,600. Then they'll need to find it or make payment arrangements. Mara, be realistic. Where are they going to get that kind of money? She turned to look at him directly. The same place they expected me to get it when they wanted a vacation. They'll figure it out. So if they meet your conditions, all of them, you'll give them their stuff back. Yes. And then you'll divorce me anyway. Yes. Cole stared out at the water. Then what's the point? Why make them jump through hoops if you're leaving regardless? Because actions should have consequences. Because people need to understand that treating others badly costs something. Because maybe next time they'll think twice before using someone and throwing them away. And there's nothing I can do to change your mind about the divorce. Mara had been dreading this question because she'd already answered it for herself. The boy she'd fallen in love with, the one who'd seemed different from his family, who'd treated her like she mattered, had been an illusion. The real Cole was the man who'd gotten on a plane without her, who'd mocked her to his family, who'd spent 6 years choosing their comfort over her dignity. No, she said simply. I love you. I know you think you do. I do love you. I know I've been an idiot, and I know I've hurt you, but I do love you. Love isn't just a feeling, Cole. It's a choice you make every day. It's how you treat someone when things get difficult. It's whose side you take when lines are drawn. You've had thousands of opportunities to choose me, and you chose them instead. So this is it. We're done. We've been done for a while. I just finally admitted it. They sat in silence as the sun disappeared behind the clouds. Around them, Charleston settled into evening restaurants turning on their lights, couples walking hand in hand, the city preparing for another night of carefully maintained charm. What happens now? Cole asked. Now you decide whether you want to help your family meet my conditions or watch them suffer the consequences of their choices. And what about you? What are you going to do? Mara stood up and gathered her purse. I'm going to build a life where people value me for more than my bank account. Thursday afternoon brought the first real surprise in what had become a predictably unpleasant week. Mara was reviewing security footage for a client when her phone rang with a number she didn't recognize. Mara Whitford speaking. Mrs. Whitford, this is Rebecca Martinez from Channel 7 News. I understand there's an interesting story developing about a vacation dispute and social media. Would you be available for an interview? Mara saved her work and leaned back in her chair. How did you hear about this? We monitor social media for local interest stories. Brenna Whitford's followers have been asking questions about her recent posts, and someone sent us the live stream where she discusses excluding you from a family vacation. It's getting quite a bit of attention online. What kind of attention? The supportive kind, mostly. A lot of people are sympathizing with your situation and criticizing the family's behavior. #bankaccountwife is starting to trend locally. Mara opened Twitter on her computer and searched for the hashtag. Rebecca was right, dozens of posts from women sharing similar stories of being used by in-laws, being valued only for their financial contributions, being excluded after providing support. We'd love to get your side of the story, Rebecca continued. The exclusive interview could really help people understand what happened. I appreciate the offer, but I'm not interested in media attention. Are you sure? This story seems to be resonating with a lot of people. Your experience could help others in similar situations. After hanging up, Mara spent an hour reading through the social media responses to Brenna's posts. The comments ranged from supportive, "You deserve better than this treatment," to outraged, "How dare they use you like an ATM," to practical, "Sue them for the vacation money." Most interesting were the stories from other women. Tales of in-laws who demanded financial help but never showed respect. Spouses who allowed their families to mistreat their partners. Relationships where money was the only valued contribution. Her phone rang again. This time it was Shay. "Have you seen the news coverage?" Shay asked without preamble. "A reporter just called me." "It's bigger than that. The story is spreading beyond Charleston. Some national women's websites have picked it up. You're becoming accidentally famous." "That's the last thing I want." Too late. Brenna's desperate damage control is just making it worse. She posted a long explanation trying to justify excluding you, and people are tearing it apart in the comments. Mara pulled up Brenna's Instagram page. The latest post was a multi-slide statement about family boundaries and personal space, filled with phrases like toxic energy and protecting our peace. The comments were brutal. This is what happens when you publicly humiliate someone who is supporting you. Family doesn't treat family like ATMs. She paid for your vacation, and you excluded her? That's disgusting. Team Mara all the way. "I should have kept this private," Mara said. "Honey, they made it public when Brenna live-streamed their betrayal. You just responded appropriately to their actions." That evening, Mara's doorbell rang. She found Cole on her front porch, holding a manila envelope and looking like he hadn't slept in days. "The women of the internet hate my family," he said without greeting. "The women of the internet sympathize with someone who was treated badly. Can I come in?" Mara hesitated, then stepped aside. Cole entered her living room, but didn't sit down. "Mom and Brenna are getting death threats," he said. "That's terrible. Have they called the police?" "Yes. But Mara, this has gotten completely out of hand." "Has it?" "People are calling Mom's work. Someone found Brenna's address and sent her a package of divorce papers with a note saying she should give them to me. I didn't ask anyone to do those things. But you started this." Mara felt her patience finally snap. I started this? I started this by paying for a vacation you excluded me from? I started this by being humiliated at an airport? I started this by discovering my husband thinks of me as a bank account. You started this by overreacting to a family situation. Get out. Mara, get out of my house. Now. Cole backed toward the door. They want to meet your conditions. All of them. Brenna will post a public apology. Mom will admit she was wrong. We'll find the money somehow. Too late. What do you mean, too late? Mara followed him to the door. I mean the time for deals and conditions has passed. I made you an offer in good faith, hoping you'd choose to do the right thing voluntarily. Instead, you've spent the last 3 days trying to minimize what you did and blame me for the consequences. So what now? Now you live with the results of your choices. The storage unit stays locked. Mom's house stays secured. Our marriage ends as soon as the papers are finalized. Cole stepped onto the porch, then turned back. I brought you something. He handed her the manila envelope. Inside were the divorce papers she'd served him, but signed now, with his agreement to all her terms. I don't want to fight anymore, he said quietly. You're right about everything. I was a terrible husband, and my family treated you horribly. You deserve better than all of us. Mara looked at the signed papers, then at the man she'd once planned to grow old with. Yes, she said simply. I do. 2 weeks later, Mara sat on the balcony of a beachfront condo in Gulf Shores, Alabama, watching dolphins play in the surf while she reviewed quarterly reports for a new client. The condo was a last-minute booking, paid for with the refunded money from the canceled Key West activities. The irony wasn't lost on her. Her divorce had been finalized that morning through Shay's efficient legal work. The house remained hers. The assets had been divided according to her preferences, and Cole had moved in with a friend while he looked for his own place. The Whitford family situation had resolved itself in predictable ways. Lorraine was staying with her sister in Columbia until she could afford her own apartment. Brenna had lost 3 major sponsorships due to the negative publicity and was considering moving to Atlanta for a fresh start. Cole had resigned from his teaching position after the school board decided the controversy was affecting his effectiveness. All of it could have been avoided with a simple apology and some basic human decency. But the Whitfords had chosen pride over pragmatism, and now they were living with the consequences. Damara's phone rang, interrupting her thoughts. Shay's name appeared on the screen. Please tell me you're calling from somewhere with good cocktails and terrible Wi-Fi, Shay said. Gulf Shores. Great cocktails, excellent Wi-Fi. Living your best life. Getting there. Any regrets? Mara watched a fishing boat move slowly across the horizon. About the divorce? No. About the way it happened? Sometimes. You mean the public attention? I mean the fact that it took a complete breakdown for me to see what was right in front of me for 6 years. That's not your fault. You loved him. You trusted him. You tried to make it work. I enabled him. I enabled all of them. And now you've stopped. That's growth, not failure. A text message, notification, chimed on Mara's phone. She glanced at it and saw Cole's name. I have to go, she told Shay. Cole's texting me. About what? I'll find out. The message was longer than his usual communications. Saw the news about your promotion to senior partner at Davidson, Park and Associates. Congratulations. You deserve it. I hope you're happy. Mara smiled despite herself. Shay had been pushing the partnership idea for months, and this week they'd finally made it official. Mara would be heading up the firm's new technology consulting division, helping other businesses solve the same kinds of problems she'd been handling independently. She typed back, "Thank you." Cole's response came immediately. "Can we talk sometime?" Not about getting back together, just to talk. Mara looked out at the ocean. where the sun was beginning to set in brilliant shades of orange and pink. Somewhere back in Charleston, Cole was probably sitting in his cramped, temporary apartment, dealing with the aftermath of choices that had seemed so reasonable 2 weeks ago. She felt sorry for him, but not sorry enough to reopen a door she'd finally found the strength to close. Maybe someday, she typed. Not today. She turned off her phone and poured herself a glass of wine from the bottle she'd opened to celebrate her partnership. Tomorrow she'd drive back to Charleston and start building the life she should have been living all along. Tonight, she was going to watch the sunset and toast her own independence. For the first time in years, Mara felt entirely in control of her future, and she was never giving that up again. The sun disappeared into the Gulf of Mexico, painting the sky in colors too beautiful to capture on Instagram. Mara didn't try. Some moments were meant to be experienced rather than shared, treasured rather than broadcast, lived rather than performed. She'd learned the difference between being valued and being used, between being loved and being convenient, between being family and being a bank account. The lessons had been expensive, but they'd been worth every penny.